going to be reviewing the Canson Me 10s, am I saying that right? Black paper, and doing a demonstration on this paper with colored pencil. Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind La Cree Fine Art. This Canson Me 10s paper, which I'm again probably saying wrong, and I liked the tooth of a lot. It worked well for burnishing, it worked well for blending with my paint thinner. With something like this, I'm gonna let the paper work for me. I'm gonna let the black show through in quite a few areas versus trying to cover everything with colored pencil. That's an added bonus because you can get a lot of work done very quickly. This paper isn't terribly expensive. I got a pack of 25 of them from dickblick.com. I will put a price, I don't remember what the price was, I'll put it on the screen, but it wasn't that expensive. You've got two sides that you can work on. One side has a lot of tooth, a lot more tooth than I would use for colored pencil. The other side that I worked on here is much, much smoother. If you are supporters over on Patreon, the 1-hour version of this tutorial is available for you now, complete with voiceover, so make sure to head over and check that out. So let's go ahead and see how this paper works in action with the pencils. I want to start off by really looking at the difference between something done on white paper versus something done on black paper. I've used the exact same colors, the same pencils. This is done with Luminance and Polychromos. The wax-based pencils are going to show up a lot better on black paper or toned paper than the Polychromos will. The Polychromos are fairly translucent, so the majority of this is being done with the Luminance pencils. The same with the Tiger once we get to that. But as you can see here, I've got more of that glow in the gray on the white paper. I'm able to control my colors a lot better on that paper than on the black. With the black, I can create contrast. The contrast isn't the problem so much as the colors are just a bit dull. They're toned down, they're muted because they're up against the black paper. So when you decide to work on black paper, I think that it's very important that you really consider what project you're choosing. I think certain things are beautiful and perfect things to draw on black paper, but not everything. The grapes, I think, would be a great example of that. The grapes here would look so much better and have that glow that you really want coming through grapes with the light bouncing around on white paper than it would on the black paper. When you work on toned or black paper, you do give up a lot of the control that you would have on white paper as far as what colors are going to end up looking like. So it's just something to be aware of when you're choosing which project to work on black paper. You can create beautiful work on the black paper, it's just not going to be the same. You're not going to get the same glow that you can on white paper. So just something to be aware of. So on my actual project, I can't use graphite like I normally would to draw everything out, so I have used a white Polychromos pencil, and now I'm starting with the eyes. I've laid down a light color first, and I'm making sure to blend my grays and greens and the darker colors on top down to the light below, so that I get that dimension in the eye and it's not just one flat color. That's really important. Make sure you get your your dark colors on the top section so that it fades down to the light. Working by adding the details around that. And the nice thing with this, the one thing I do really, really love with working on black paper is you can move through this very quickly. I'm not really having to put down base layers on anywhere where the fur is going to go. I do in a couple of areas, but the majority of this, I just started in with my pencil strokes for the fur. You can see how beautifully these pencil strokes show up. Now I started by using my Polychromos black just because that's my normal go-to black pencil. I found that on the black paper, I really like my Luminance black better. Really, for pretty much everything, I liked the Luminance better. And towards the end of the piece, I just put my Polychromos away and stuck with the Luminance. I just got much better results because they are so much more opaque. I love my Polychromos, but they are very translucent, so on top of dark paper like this, they're not so ideal for most situations. Now it's really important when you are drawing animals, watch your reference photo. Pay attention to the direction of the fur, how long the fur is, how the fur clumps together. You want to make sure that you get variation in there as well. You want this to look soft. If you're very straight and stiff, all of your lines are very harsh, you will end up with a very unnatural look for the fur. So you can see I'm overlapping a lot of this. That is very, very important. And I'm really focusing on one small area at a time. It is much easier to do that than to try to work on the entire tiger at the same time. This isn't something where I would say, okay, I know this color goes all over the place, so I'm going to use this one pencil everywhere that it goes, and then come back around with my lighter pencils everywhere where that goes. It's much easier to break it down into one small section at a time. Now, a lot of this, once I get the pencil strokes in there for one section, I will come back through and add darks and lights into it. You really don't want to just make everything one solid color. You're not just going to put white where the white portions of the tiger are. You've got to have lots of colors, lots of values, grays and browns. The same thing on the oranges. I'm using probably 6, 7 different colors for the oranges of the fur here. Likely more than that. Just layering a lot of different things. And that doesn't mean that each layer has all 6 colors. It means that it's fading. Some areas are the lighter kind of tan color. It fades into browns and oranges. There's transition from one color to the next. Don't just put one solid color everywhere. It will not look natural. Notice that all of these lines are slightly curved. None of my pencil strokes are perfectly straight. That will look very stiff. I blended that out with my Mona Lisa odorless paint thinner. Any odorless mineral spirit will work the same. You can see it made everything very, very soft, and then I can come back over that with more detail. Now the nice thing here, you can see that area right underneath the eye. I blended that out so that it was very, very light, very kind of solid. That allowed me to come on top with some of my other colors, my oranges and reds, and get more of a bold color than what I would have gotten if I had just done the oranges and reds straight onto the black. By creating this light layer first, that did allow me to get a little bit more of a bold color than I was otherwise able to achieve straight onto the black. So you have to adjust your technique a little bit when you work on toned paper to counter the fact that you are not up against white paper like you may be used to. The other tip I have for you when working on toned paper, let the paper work for you. I've done this before on Stonehenge where I've used their fawn color. Let that color show through on pieces. If you're going to use toned paper, do it for a reason. Let it save you some time. So here I'm letting a lot of that black show through in different areas so that I don't have to add black where I normally would. It saves me a lot of time. I was able to get this piece done very, very quickly compared to how long it would have taken me on white paper with the same project and same size. Of course, on the white paper, I would have been able to get much brighter colors. So, there's some positive and negative there. It really depends on what your end goals are. Now, I did the same thing here around the mouth or right under the nose, where I put the white down first, I blended it, and then I came on top with more white. When I blended it, what happened is that white blending in with the black created a dark or medium gray. Then I was able to use my white pencil to create the fur marks on top of it, but that dark medium gray, I let that show through in bits so that I'm not just up against the straight black that I would have otherwise been in this case. And this is really just a layering process like always. Watch your photo, create clumps in the fur. Look at here how on the chin I needed to get that blue first so that I could put the white on top. If I were just using white and trying to put white fur on top, it's not going to show up. I need to get that dark first, and then I can come on top with the white pencil on an area that I need to be white. I don't just want black to show through, so that's why I did that light blue first, which is still darker than the white, and then I can put the white marks over it. And I came back through with my Luminance black to create a little bit more detailing in the chin fur there. Now onto this side. I need to make sure that this eye is quite a bit darker than the eye that is in the light. This one is cast in shadow. I don't want to just copy that one and make them both the same color. It wouldn't look right. So the colors that I'm using here are much, much darker. And this is the side that I really let that paper work for me. I let the black show through all over the place. It went by super quick because of that. If you are working on really getting the hang of how to create fur, I think this paper is really good, if nothing else, for practicing that, because you can so quickly, so easily see what that fur is going to look like without having to do as many of the base layers as you may normally on white paper. So even if you are not a huge fan of the black paper for finished projects, just for practicing fur or even hair, you can just see every pencil mark so easily, so quickly. So it's really good for that. The fur is much shorter on the hair or the top of the head, so you can see how my pencil strokes are very, very short. Again, really watching the direction of that fur. The direction that you're drawing that fur, it indicates how the underlying bone and muscular structure is. So if you've got fur going in the wrong direction, you can make the animal look somewhat deformed. I'm adding quite a bit of blue into the black as well. Just gives it a little bit more of a punch with the color there. And this side of the face that is falling in shadow but is still white fur, I'm going to use a lot more of the grays and blues mixed in with the white so that you can tell that it's white, but it is within shadow. Just remember, when you're drawing or painting anything that has white, don't try to make everything solid white. It won't look right. Keep the white for your highlights at the end. So there's a lot of blue on the white and on the side of the face. Now I'm just coming back through with some brighter oranges and reds and really punching that color up. At this stage it was very, very dull, so I had to counter that by using super bright fluorescent colors that I normally probably wouldn't go with on white paper, but I needed it here to make that color stand out more. I've drawn in the whiskers initially with my white polychromos, my white luminance pencil, but I am going to come back through with the touch-up texture and titanium white powder, which I showed you guys on Saturday. I will have a card pop up so you can see how I do that on this piece. Just for a few highlights. And that bright orange color really only shows up well when I put it over an area that already has kind of a tan or a lighter color. When I put it over straight black, it doesn't show up very much. I've got to go over a lighter color in order to make that stand out to really show up. The tooth on this paper I really did like. I was able to do a lot of layering, but then when I used the paint thinner, I'm able to smooth everything out as needed. I used the smooth side. This paper has two sides, a rough and a smooth. I used the smooth side and really, really did like the texture. Few final details, just making colors pop a bit more. And this is the stage where I just keep backing away from it, and I put my reference photo away. I just keep backing away and looking at it and deciding what areas that mine needs work to make it brighter and stand out more. So here was my finished project. It is not nearly as bold or vivid as what I'm able to do on white paper, but that doesn't mean that I don't like it. I really like a lot about this piece. If you have worked on black paper, I would love to hear in the comments below some of the things that you liked or didn't like about working on that paper. Thanks for watching. Again, if you are supporters over on Patreon, the longer version of this tutorial is available for you now, complete with voiceover and real-time clips mixed in with that. So make sure to head over and check that out. If you're new to my channel, I have new video critiques every Tuesday where I'm critiquing your original paintings or drawings, my own speed paintings, drawings, and tutorials every Wednesday, our Q&A videos every Thursday, and artist vlogs each weekend. So if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, all of those social media sites are linked below in the video description where you can keep up with the news, my newest work, and see real-time clips of whatever it is I'm currently working on. I'll see you guys tomorrow. So now that I'm done recording this video, I am headed over to the zoo to get photos for Patreon's reference photos. I'm really excited. I need to convince a flamingo to come home with me. Okay, flamingos, which one of you want to come live with me? I've got air conditioning. Seriously, I know one of you wants to come home with me. You can live on my balcony. It's really pretty. You'll have a beautiful view. And there's a creek right next door, so you can play in the water. Come on. Someone wants to come live with me. Come on. Don't ignore me. This isn't over.